right, y'all. I'm back 4 months later. Life has been trying to kick my, if you know what I'm saying. But as we do, as us resilient ones do, we pick ourselves up every time and we keep moving forward. I've been focusing more on like shorter content on TikTok, and so it's not that I haven't been doing what I said I was going to do in terms of this channel, but I've been focusing more of my time on TikTok because considering the way my life is set up, it's just been easier for me to do shorter content, like really quick, on the go. And, I am not a full time creator. I'm very, very, very new to this. And I'm also someone who is very aware of their time. Time is currency for me. So TikTok just allows me the currency content ratio that I prefer. Anyways, all that to say, I've been really thinking about this channel, and I've been thinking about the next topic that I want to discuss, or the next series I want to talk about. And I used to do something every birthday where I used to do a certain number of lessons learned in the year of my life based on the birth date that I'm on. So I did like 25 lessons by 25, 28 lessons by 28. And at the time, blogging was still like a big thing. And I used to have people that I would run into that actually would read my blogs and life lessons. And no shade to the young ones. But we think we know so much more than we do on the other side of things. So now, as a grown ass woman, at this beautiful 4'2", I really think I have more to say. And this channel is predominantly about healing, about social awareness, self-awareness, relationships to self and others, and sharing stories that help other people. So what I want to do is start a series right now that is about lessons learned. I'm really, really big about lessons learned. I'm a firm believer that you can learn what not to do by listening to other people. So these are just some things that I wish I would have known in my 20s. Okay? Oh, Lord, 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 my 20s. A hot-ass hormonal dramatic mess of a bright little star I was. Oh, Lord, she was cute, though. She was cute. First lesson, I didn't know I was cute. I had no idea how damn cute I was. And I'm going to show a picture up here. Hopefully it works. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to show a picture up here. This was me at 27. And I kid you not, at this age, with this body, this face, her face still cute though. Okay. She a little thickums now, but she's still cute. Okay. Because the men's like the jelly rolls. Okay. But at this body, this face, 26, 27, I thought I was fat. I was so insecure. And part of it was me. Part of it was being in the industry. I live in Los Angeles. I came to LA because I'm a singer. I've been doing it professionally for 20 years. Up until now, I've been full-time for the last 9, but God is shifting some things. So now I have to shift as well. Because I think it's time to do something a little different, to start building my own things. However, I came to LA because I believed what everybody else believes when they come to LA. I'm going to go to LA because I'm talented and I can sing, and I'm going to audition for the biggest names, and they're just going to see how great I am. And I'm going to be famous because I'm talented and I can write and I can sing. But every executive I sat in front of, every producer, every show I auditioned for, I have so many stories, y'all. So I don't have a lot of viewers, but at some point I hope to. So if at some point y'all see this and y'all I want to know some stories, then I'll share. I will share here and there. But if anything I say comes up in this video that you're girl, I need the tea, she will pour. Okay. But I met so many executives who just blatantly overlooked my abilities and focused on my physical. And if you've lived in LA and you've worked in the industry, you know that that is predominantly what the MO is out here. LA is not what you think if you're a talent, if you're a creative. LA is not the land of milk and honey, the land of possibilities. It is the land of survival. It is the land of who's making it out alive. It is the land of how much is your soul worth. It is the land of you will be tested, but if you are protected, you will stay. You'll find your light in the darkness. And all that to say, at 26, I had all these ugly ass, not attractive, no talent having ass men telling me that I was unattractive, telling me that I was fat, telling me I needed to lose weight, making me feel like less than every single time, overlooking my abilities or or focusing more on what they could get from me sexually, which really added more confusion to the constant put downs I was facing every time I walked into a room, every time I went into a meeting. I mean, whether it be my skin, my weight, you know, the things I've the things I've seen, heard, and overcome, like y'all, like that young lady at 26, 27 thought she was unattractive, thought she was ugly, thought she was fat, would look in the mirror with doubt all the time. The beautiful thing about being on the other side of 40, which 40 was my favorite year so far, just so y'all know, the level of fucks that you don't give at 40 is phenomenal. And the way that it transcends all the things that you have been through, if you've actually gone and done the work and started to really work on yourself, is the blessing, right? The way I will wear a two-piece bikini now and give zero fucks and you can take it or leave it, I would be afraid to wear a two-piece bikini at this size, in this red bikini, which hopefully you're seeing right now because she ain't a technology type of person, but hopefully you can see it right now. So doubtful, constantly second guessing myself, never feeling like I was enough. If I knew better then, I would know and I would tell her, you are more than enough. You are gorgeous. Your body is beautiful. And none of these disgusting, vile, manipulative ass men should ever be the deciding factor on how you feel about yourself. Period. Okay? Something else that I wish I would have learned, and I recently was talking to this guy, through the apps, and stopped talking to him because I couldn't. He was just so self-absorbed. And when you like meet a guy and all he wants to do is talk about himself, it's like, nigga, that's what reality TV's for. I don't need to do this on my free time. I can do this, watch TV. Anyway, but I told him one of the biggest regrets that I ever had, which I would say things I wish I knew in my 20s, was how to advocate for myself, which kind of piggybacks off of what I just said, right? I did not speak up. The amount of disrespect I swallowed in my 20s, the amount of just smile and be pretty, I accepted and let my soul suffer. And it wasn't just men, it was friends. It was people who did me wrong and gaslit me, made me think I was crazy, made me think I was crazy for standing on business or standing on some type of moral ground, only for me to give them a low-key pass, which then makes me gaslight myself. That's not cool. Like, I did not advocate for myself enough in my 20s. I did not call out people's BS enough in my 20s. I did not call out things that I felt were very racist in my 20s. I tried to. Because this is the thing. We could sit there all day and be like, nothing affects me. Nothing affects me. I'm strong, strong. No, we're not. We're human beings. And at the end of the day, you're going to end up in the bottom of a bottle, sexing your life away, or you're going to go to therapy. You're going to end up angry, or you're going to go to therapy like I had to, because I had carried so much non-advocacy for myself that my depression was so heavy. I didn't want to unalive myself, but I didn't want to be here. So if I knew something that I could have saved myself from in my 20s, it would be advocate for yourself, girl. If something doesn't feel right for you, say it. If it still don't feel right for you after you say it, remove yourself. And don't feel bad about doing so. If you don't feel like your opinions are being valued in the meeting, ask them why. And if they don't give you a good enough answer, because, you know, we all human, we all trying to navigate this life the best we can. If they don't check themselves and say, you know what, I am being a little dismissive, I am being condescending, then remove yourself from the fucking meeting. If you feel like the people that you are working for don't value you and will not give you a raise, and they're not taking into consideration that eggs is $29, and they still want you to go out on stage and tap dance and sambo for them, maybe you should find somewhere else to work. Or maybe you should work for yourself. Like, the level of suppression that I was under, the level of compliance that I just went with, because that was the status quo back then. Like, what was that, 2000s? Like, yeah, like 2000s. Like, we were still under the status quo of women. Yeah, women, we had the, you know, some push and pull in government and life, but we were still quiet. You know, it wasn't 2025. And I really, really, really wish I would have spoken up for myself sooner. But on the other side of that, as I always say, I do believe we are a product in the sum of our experiences and the things we overcome, right? So I am so grateful for the woman I am today. I really, really am. Like, I really like myself, you know? But I know I had to go through all that to be this person. It just sucks that, you know, you have to do that way sometimes. So next one. What I will tell myself, lessons I would give myself to myself in my 20s. Just because a man has sex with you and sexes you well does not mean he loves you or cares about you. It does not mean that he values you. It does not mean that he sees a future with you. It does not mean that he's taking into consideration the way him penetrating you is affecting how you feel about him. It does not mean that you are special. It doesn't mean that you are special. It doesn't mean that you are his soon-to-be wife or girlfriend. It doesn't mean that you can feel safe enough to relax, to let him show you what life will be like with him. It's a cold world, okay? Too many times in my 20s, I am not a person. I've never been a person. I had a whole phase. I had a whole phase that was very brief, and I mean brief. It was like a cough. Like, I was 23. My whole phase lasted for 6 months, and I realized I wasn't built that way, right? That's another story. I used to work on this property, right? And I had a guy in section A, B, and C, right? And I would rotate them, and they were all different and all had different cars, but that's a whole nother story. But that was my brief hoe phase, okay? But being a woman in your 20s and your late 20s, we are so dumb. We really think that, I'm not going to say dumb. I'm going to say ignorant, because ignorant is more so lack of knowledge, right? Dumb is when your ass know better and you just keep doing it because you're dumb. Excuse me, y'all. But I was so ignorant. I really believed that this intimacy meant something for these people. I really believe that I could trust men at their word. I believe that they were going to protect me, because I'm a very transparent person. I've always been that way, even in the past, in my 20s. Like, before I engage, I would always have conversations. And I felt like because they were engaging with me, that meant I could trust them and that we were going to be together and blah, 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 all the BS that, fairy tales feed women. That's not true. It's not true. It's not that it doesn't ever happen, but it is not the rule. It is the exception. And I wish I would have known that because, as I was saying before, I'm someone who I'm not someone who could just have sex casually. I've never been that person. I'm not built that way. I had a brief hoe phase, 6 months. I retired. She didn't even get fired. Okay. She said, I'm going to hang up my hoe shoes. Just hang them up because I'm not about this life. Because energetically for me, it's always been a very deep spiritual kind of thing. And I didn't even know that in my 20s. Like, when I look back now in my 40s, I recall men saying things to me about sex with me. And like one guy used to say, every time I have sex with you, it's like you're taking my soul. and I and I thought that was scary at first, but now it makes me giggle. Sorry. Because I know more. I know myself more, I know more, and it makes way more sense, right? Sex has never just been just casual. And even when I didn't know it wasn't just casual for me, it was never just casual. So I would have told myself that in my 20s. I would have been sure to be clear that when I am engaging in intimacy with someone that I'm choosing to be intimate with, to be very clear about their intentions matching their actions, and to not hold my breath waiting for this man to show up and be the Prince Charming that he's promised, because 9 times out of 10, he will not do that and he will disappoint you every time. Yeah, I got a lot of good songs out of it. I got a lot of great songs out of it for sure. I have a lot of stories to tell, which is why I want to do this channel. But I would have never made myself believe that it was more to them than just fun, you know? Yeah. Also in my 20s, one thing I would also say to myself in my 20s is don't be afraid to travel by yourself. Granted, you need to be smart where you go. You need to be very, very aware of your surroundings. You need to educate yourself on, what neighborhoods you're in, what crime is. I didn't take myself on my first solo trip until I was 35. And I took myself to Paris for my 35th birthday for 8 days. And when I tell you I had the best time, when I tell you there is something about waking up and exploring another place, another country by yourself, not having to accommodate other people's schedules, needs, wants. I would get up and so I'm a semi planner. I'm a light planner when I travel, right? I have things I want to do, but within those days of the things to do, it's very light. Like, it flows. Wherever we flow is wherever we flow. And you can't do that with everybody. You can't do that with everybody you travel with. If you're with a group of women or a group of just friends and family, everybody has different things, different limitations. You are stuck more to a schedule based on everybody else's needs. But the ability to wake up every day, eat when you want, get out and walk many neighborhoods of Paris. I walked the Louvre one day, 9 miles. I did at the Louvre by myself. And mind you, had we been with everybody else, it'd been like, damn, where Keisha at? Oh, she's still over there in the Egyptian section. Oh, God, now we got to wait. We can't even go get no drink. Can you text her? No, we in Paris. I don't got no service. Like, nobody wants to deal with that. Like, I literally lived my best life. I met amazing people over there. On my birthday, I took myself to dinner in the Eiffel Tower. I had me a little 6-course meal. I had my cute little outfit. I took myself to drinks. I took myself to see a cabaret show where I actually met an American performer there who he became my buddy the rest of the trip. Like we just hung out and he just showed me places of Paris I never saw and he was so fun and we still chat today. Um, I would say travel no, more by yourself in your 20s. And I mean, even if you're taking yourself on a short trip to Joshua Tree, I'm in Cali, so these are my references. But wherever you are, think about those places. Get an Airbnb by the beach by yourself. Just take yourself out of your own environment and experience life. If you can travel abroad, 25 toes down, do it. That's how hard it is. That's how hard I mean that. 25 toes down, do it. And if you got somebody that you do feel good traveling with who will flow like you guys are the same. Like me and my one of my friends, Nicole, we definitely Aquarius Sag. Like we both flow the same, like we go with the flow, but I'm a little bit of a planner and she's cool with that. You know what I'm saying? If you have a friend like that you feel like you can go and y'all will just vibe the whole time, do that. Um, but I would have made myself travel more in my 20s. I studied abroad in my 20s for college. I went to UCLA and I did a study abroad for a month. And that was with a group of people, but that was my first taste of outside of the United States. That was the first time I realized the United States really ain't hot shit, and the more I would say that, the more people would like look at me like, oh, you're not American. Like, no, I'm just a realistic person. Like, I know where I was born, but I know I see way better stuff over here. And now 2025, everybody's finding out. Anyways, went to college and I got to explore Germany and Lord, Salzburg. I got to just go to Mozart's house in France and Austria, and that was in Italy and them Italian men's. That was the first taste of them Italiano men's. I was like, y'all dangerous. Okay, y'all trying to get somebody pregnant up here. And I got to graduate from college. Ain't nobody got time to be carrying no black Italian babies across the stage. Not today. Woo. I still have pictures. But that was my first taste of traveling abroad. And I would have told myself to continue to do so through my 20s. What happens is too often we graduate from college and then we start scrambling for life. And what we don't understand is that life is never going to stop lifing. And you have to make a choice. Are you going to live today while you still got good knees? Or are you going to keep putting it off and saying, well, I'll wait when I retire, I'll do this. When I retire, I can afford this. When I retire, I can see this. When I retire, which unfortunately is what a lot of our elders have done, all the people in my family. And then when they retire, they're too tired to travel. They're on a fixed income. They're afraid to get on international flights and be around people speaking different languages. You know, you have to really decide how you're going to balance your life and what type of life you're going to lead, because life is not going to stop. And I've had so many rock bottoms here. Like, I'm on my fourth rock bottom now. I am literally in the middle of the up climb, like, and I mean from the bottom here, inclining from a rock bottom. And life is going to like continue to rock bottom you, and it's going to be a distraction from the things that you should probably do and experience and see. And you have to really be in control of how you utilize your time. And everybody's different. If you don't value travel, that's fine. But whatever the hell it is that you value, do it. Do it while you're young, right? I believe money can come back. Time can't come back, honey. Time and these knees, they can't come back. So what are we going to do with them now, right? So I definitely would have traveled more, for sure. And last thing, I don't want these videos to be too long. I'm going to do several parts, so I will come back. Um, the last thing I will say is that I know sounds a little contradictory, but I wish I would have taken more risks. Okay. Now this might be the adverse for you. Maybe you're too much of a risk taker and maybe you need to slow down and think before you do what you do. But for me, I wish I would have taken more risks in my 20s. Believe it or not, I think the woman I am now is not necessarily a reflection of that, but there's still a lot of parts of me that operate that way. But I wish I would have taken more risk. I was very by the book. Like, even though I'm a creative, even though I'm a singer, and I told my mom at 12 I was going to be a singer, even though I moved to LA to do so, I still played within the parameters of what you're supposed to do according to whoever the fuck made up these rules. So, yeah, I mean, and in high school, I was, yeah, creative, but got good grades. I was president of drama. I was president of DECA, which was like the student store. I was senior class president, all of the things, right? Like, I did everything according to plan. Even as a creative, I went to college. There was no question. I gotta go to college because that's what you do. You go to college, right? And and then you have babies and you find someone and get married and have babies, which clearly missed that step. But God sometimes will surprise you, so we ain't saying that. We ain't gonna say that. God, I'm not saying it because you might surprise me. These eggs still be moving. I know. Okay. Anyways, back to y'all. All that to say is I was so by the book that, and so just like, I'm such an overthinker. I'm such an overthinker, and there are some moments in my life that came about to be the funnest, best experiences just from not overthinking, just from taking a risk, just from, hey, we'll see what happens. Or when you get to this age and you start, my therapist used to say that people start realizing that they're going to die around their mid to late 30s. That's when people's priorities really start to change because they start to realize that life is not forever. And I just remember thinking about the things I wish I would have did just to say I did it. And there was a few things in my 20s that I wish I would have taken more of a risk at doing. But because I'm such an analytical person and such a like overthinker, I allowed myself to fight or flight or freeze, and freeze was my response, right? And hindsight 2020, sometimes I should have probably taken a risk, especially when it came to taking a risk on myself. Um, because you're worth it. And also, something me and my friends say is that, okay, we can either do it or not, right? But if we do it and it's great, we have a story. But if we don't, well, I've picked myself up many times before and I'll pick myself up again. you know. And I don't mean doing nothing crazy or irrational, like getting in some random dude's car or going to Dubai for a potty party. Like, I mean, like some real regular, degular, beige, demure kind of risks. Okay. Please don't. Please don't be in the comments talking about I listened to you and now I got no. She ain't responsible for it. I mean rational, reasonable risks, right? There was, like, for example, the one risk I remember, Lord, you tell all my business. The one risk I do remember taking was in my 20s was I had my first one night stand. Well, it didn't really count as a one night stand because it ended up being a whole weekend. But all that to say, right? I was in Miami with my best friend at the time, her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's friend, who was our friend from high school, was getting married. He was playing for the Braves or somebody at the time, one of them baseball teams out there. This was the first time I had ever seen a wedding band and knew that they existed, which is what my career has predominantly been for the last 20 years. And that's what I'm talking about, right? Had I not gone, I wouldn't have seen them and I wouldn't have been like, oh, I can do this for a living. So, I'm connecting the dots. All that to say, little nice little caramel man. He was so cute. Anyways, vibing. It's a wedding. Hormones are flaring. Guys are like, tonight I'm scoring. It's happening. Me and my girl, we were very young and did not have a lot of money. Like just us getting there was kind of like okay, this is a risk we're gonna take. Them, however, being professional baseball players, or he was a semi-pro player at the time. They had way better hotels than we did, you know. You know what I'm saying? And the moment that I laid my head on that pillow at Lowe's, I said, this is where I belong. And this is where she gonna stay for the rest of the vacay. I mean, thank you, sir. I mean, hey, I mean, it was so bad that one night he went to the club and I said, I'm gonna just take a bath. I'm gonna get in the bathtub and I'm gonna put the bathrobe on and I'm gonna go night night and just wake me up when you get home because you know I'll be ready. You know. But I had never ever considered a one night stand. Had I ever had one? And I'm not telling you guys to do this. I'm just giving an example of a risk that I took. Yes, we were protected. Yes, we were safe, right? Um, but just something that I never had done, right? And I don't recommend this to everybody because honestly, most women we can't handle that. We're not built that way. Like, keep it a buck. We're not built to do that. But I will say that that one little risk that I took ended up being one of the memories that I often kind of laugh about and giggle about because it was really nice. It was a great experience. And I walked into it knowing that it probably was just going to be that. And I thought it was going to be one night and it ended up being a whole weekend, which actually ended up being like him trying to date me long distance after that, which was very interesting because, you know, I mean, damn, like you be trying to date dudes now and they be around the block and they don't show up. See, lessons I should have learned in my 20s. I should have actually taken that man up on his offer because he actually was really nice. But me being young, he's like, oh my God, he's not here. Like, I want to be with somebody that's here and in my same state. Like, no. If I meet a man that lives in a different state now, honey, she will just catch a plane. That's what they for. Okay. But shoulda, coulda, woulda. At least I enjoyed myself for the weekend. I really had a great experience. I really had a great experience. He was such a nice guy. He put me to sleep so many nights, so many times, and I like sleep, you know. And I walked into it just really knowing it was what it was, but it was an enjoyable, rememberable moment. And even now at 42, I can be like, yeah, I'd probably do it again. That was fun. However, comma, I'm not telling y'all to do it. I'm not telling y'all to do it. So please don't. I'm not telling y'all to do it. Okay, because you're probably already done it. That's the only time I ever had a one night stand. The only time. That's crazy. Usually I'll date somebody, you know, and I have to get to know them. But that was like we're in Miami and this fabulous wedding and take your pants off, you know. It was a good time. Good time. So yeah, this is part one. This is part one of things I wish I would have known in my 20s. I am probably gonna circle back around to this decade one more time for a part two, and then I'll move to then I'll move to 30s, and then I will go to what I've learned so far in 40s. What I would hope to do is to bring on some of my friends and to have candid conversations, probably on our couches, on my couch, preferably, but I would love to share like stories that we have in their realm of comfort with you guys because I do know somebody's going to hear this and they're going to need it. So, with that being said, thank you for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to build. I have a large following on Instagram at The Divine Diva, and I have a very small growing following on TikTok, but this is the last thing I'm trying to build and grow. So please like, follow, subscribe, and tell me, out of all the things I said in this video, what was your favorite? Until next time. Bye, boos.